3 rigid motions, and today we're really just going to focus on translations on the coordinate plane. So they look like this, right? We're going to describe how does this shape move on the coordinate plane for a translation. So some things you could notice or wonder here, we just started off the lesson with like, oh, so this is a V. What does that mean? It's every point is moving this direction and distance. And this thing is called a vector. So a vector is a line segment with an arrow at the end, so it goes forever in that direction, right? And it's specifying a direction we're moving and how far. So a vector tells us which direction and how far to move it. So we're moving all of them by this exact same vector. So it's always this one for this problem. Then we talked about like how could we translate a shape. So it's sliding. We started with the red is the pre-image and the black is the image. So how is it moving from this 3, 4 to negative 1, 1? And maybe you see, oh, I'm subtracting 4 from the x. And then 4 minus 3 would give me 1. All right, let's move it to a new spot and see if that still works. So 6 minus 4 is 2. And 0 minus 3 is negative 3. So I'm always subtracting 4, no matter where I move it, for this translation. Subtract 4 from the x, subtract 3 from the y. So if we apply that translation to this shape, go left 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, 3. So left 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, 3. Left 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, 3. We just moved this shape left 4 and down 3. That is a translation. That's it. It's not always 4 and 3, but like whatever the numbers are. So how this is going to look in terms of like what is it written like? When we are doing a translation, you notice it starts with a T. So a lot of times they write it with a capital T. We're going to slide all the points a certain distance and direction. So they write it like t and then an x and a y value. So t, we're going to translate negative 7, that's in the x direction. And negative 7 would be left 7. Right, we're going in the negative x direction 7. And then the y direction, it's 5, and it's positive 5. So we're going to go up and down for y, but positive will be up 5. So we're taking each point, going left 7, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So left 7, up 5, and that's where the image ends up. So all the points on here, left 7, up 5, left 7, up 5. Same thing is happening. The other way they could write it is they'll write it like x, y with an arrow. Take your x coordinate and subtract 7, take your y coordinate and add 5, but it means the same thing. I'm just taking my x value and subtracting 7, taking my y value and adding 5. So if I look at point 7, 0, 7 minus 7, right? 7 minus 7 is 0. So 7 minus 7. So that's going to be 0 for the x. And then the y, add 5. So my y is 0. So I'm going to add 5, which would give me 5. So that point goes from 7, 0 to 0, 5. It's the same thing. It's just using numbers instead of like counting. I like counting better, but you could do it this way as well. So I could take 6 minus 7 is negative 1. Yep. And then negative 4 plus 5 would be positive 1. So yeah, this one ends up at 1, 1. Or you could count left 7, up 5. So there's really two ways to do it. So just a quick example here. Let's say I had point A and that's at negative 5, 2. So I should always just go graph it and label it. Here's point A. And then I'm going to go T3, negative 4. So I'm going to go right 3 because the x is first. Right 1, 2, 3. And then down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is A prime, which is at negative 2, comma negative 2. So this would be the answer for this one. That's where A prime moves to. It went right 3, it went down 4. We just count those numbers. It's pretty easy once you realize what that stands for. just remember the x value is the first one, and how far to move it in the y direction is the second one. X, comma, y, just like a point. So for the cooldown, where would point A go? Where would point B go? Where would point C go? If our transformation was take the xy, x plus 4, y plus 1. So you can drag these points, right? So which way should I move 4? Which way should I move 1 for A? Put it where you think it goes, and then B and C, and then you just write them in there.